Now today we are going to talk about mental illness, and I know your viewer back at home, you are also as clueless as I am about mental illness, but at the end of this show we are going to get more about mental illness. This is Family Times, and today we have our guests. We have our guest and we have our co-hosts. Let me start from this is far left, Brother Richard Ouma. Please say hi to our viewer.
Hi viewer, welcome.
Next to Richard is our guest, Jennifer Adoyo. Say hi to our viewers.
Hello viewers. Next
to Jennifer is Tabitha Ouma, the wife to Richard Ouma. Say Jambo.
Jambo.
And close by is Linda Riaga. Say Jambo.
Jambo.
Thank you. Now, when we talk about mental illness, what do we mean? Anyone? What is mental illness?
I would want to say that mental illness is any illness that is in the mind.
Mm. And when you are ill, you're meant to go for some place. Maybe you go to a hospital, you're kept there. Yeah.
So if I marry the two, not marrying you and Richard, but marry your statement, when we say mental illness, we have an illness in the mind that needs medical attention. Tabby, when you hear about mental illness, what comes into your mind?
I think many times we have misused this word, or we have thought negatively about mental illness. Because when the first thing when you hear about mental illness, you think that this is a person who can never think right, or
wear clothes,
can't do just the right things that a normal person does. So that's the mentality that most people have when they hear about...
In our minds, we kind of think of people walking the streets, probably naked, picking up some dirt, carrying big sacks, dirty sacks that is. And that's where our minds normally end. We can't see it any other way, because somebody's mind has just gone...
And they can't think for themselves, you know? That's what we think about
mental illness.
And viewer, that is basically why we are here, and Jennifer Adoyo is here to help us know more about mental illness. And when you talk about mental illness, what comes into our mind is depression. Now, coming to our guest, Jennifer, please just tell us briefly about yourself so that we can understand you more and better.
Yes.
Jennifer, mother of 2 boys, and I'm a trainer and a customer service person for the past 14 years. Yes. And apart from that, if I can go straight to the topic, yeah. Just like any other illness, there's this assumption like you have to go to the doctor, either you have a fever or you have these obvious symptoms and take pills there and then, okay? But then with the depression line of mental illness, it's not an obvious thing to most of us, be it the person suffering from it and the person who's not suffering from it. Personally, I got diagnosed in 2009. By then, for so many months, I didn't know what was happening to me. I was losing appetite and losing weight constantly. I was working in an insurance company, so I had a stable job, so to speak. And until I had gone to the hospital twice to be checked, but there was nothing, blood, urine tests, I was okay. Rather, the only thing the doctor picked was I had these symptoms of a starving person. For people who are in areas that there's no food, that's common there. But it shouldn't be common to someone who's staying in Eldoret and there's abundance of food. So I told the doctor, I can't eat, and I don't feel hungry, and I can't sleep. No matter what I tried, I could go for a week without sleeping. So doc gave me multivitamins. Yeah. The first one didn't work. So I wasn't eating. I used it for 5 days. Then I went back for a stronger version, which now got me nibbling on food. Yeah. And then I started getting emotional for no reason. I could laugh when people are meant to be crying, or I could start crying when someone comes to the front office to say hi. And I would dash to the ladies' room and just needed to be alone. Then there were these sounds in my head. And it doesn't tell you anything in particular. It's just too much noise.
Jennifer,
and so I just...
Jennifer, 1 minute.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to pick it very well.
Yeah.
How did it start? And how did you feel? Because you say that you went to a doctor and you weren't eating.
Yeah.
You were sort of starving.
Yeah.
You lost your appetite. Yeah. Now, before you went to that place, what happened?
What triggered?
What triggered? What do you imagine probably triggered that?
I just knew I was too weak. I was just weak.
It just started that
all
way.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't explain it to myself.
Okay.
As she was explaining, I was just imagining, because she says that there was nothing that the doctor could pick except the fact that she was not eating.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was imagining, when I'm sick, I go to the hospital and there are blood tests that the doctors
have to be run. Yes.
Blood test, and then maybe they come back and say, we've narrowed this to malaria.
Yes.
This depression has no... the doctors cannot really pinpoint.
They can't pick it.
At the early stage. Yeah.
Like when you see from her story, it seems that maybe you cannot notice it by yourself that actually I'm going through this.
No.
Maybe some of the symptoms, like what she's saying, like sleepless nights and lack of appetite, that is what prompted her to go to to seek medication.
Or could it be maybe somebody offended you and probably you're holding the grudge? I would just think.
Nothing.
It's nothing like that?
No.
You were not thinking of anything that, maybe someone lost a job.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Relationship.
Yeah.
No,
Some
nothing like that. I had a stable job.
Yeah.
I was okay. The kids had not come. So I was free molecule, so to speak. So,
like that.
All right.
But then I realized, with all this noise in my head, I got to talk to a friend who was working at WFP at the time, and he just told me, go to see a psychiatrist. And for me, this was something you just see in the movies, white thing.
You wouldn't
I didn't
imagine you can want to see a psychiatrist.
At what point should I be told, go and see a psychiatrist?
Yeah.
For my case, even the medical doctor couldn't pick it.
Yeah.
And it's this friend, I guess, from his knowledge of, or he had exposure, and from what I was explaining to him, which didn't make sense to myself, that I just hear noises and I feel like crying and I'm not eating. He just told me, go to psychiatrist. And I went to referral hospital in Eldoret, and I met the head of psychiatry. And when I got to his office, I just told him, a friend told me to come here, but I don't know why I'm here.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
I can't tell you I have fever, so I wasn't quite sure what his line of work really was. I didn't even Google it at the time. So he just told me, just talk. So I told him, about what? He said, anything. So I talked and talked. And there was no head or tail. I just kept pouring it, and at some point I'm crying and I'm laughing by myself. By the time I was done talking, he gave me this thick book, and it was written symptoms of depression. He opened some page, gave me to read. And the symptoms were numbered 1, 2, 3, and it's the mood swings, loss of appetite, loss of sleep, up to 10, which is suicidal. And doc told me, out of the 10, you have 7 symptoms. So he could diagnose me as having depression.
Yes, Linda.
I had a friend who one day shared with me something. She told me that she had a neighbor, and this neighbor, there's a time she just talked to her and she noticed that she was not okay. It's as if she was now going down. And this lady had to share with the husband. She told the husband, kindly let your wife go and see a doctor. She's not well. And the husband was like, what? I know women have mood swings. So maybe she's having one of her mood swings. So when the husband decided to take the wife to the hospital, when they reached and they saw a psychiatrist, then the doctor, that psychiatrist told the man that your wife was almost breaking down. So maybe some things you can't pick, but when you see someone maybe not okay in his normal or her normal way.
You want to rely on people who have got that other instinct, which we may not have.
Yeah, true.
But my worry with this one is that you we are used to going to a doctor and the doctor telling us that this is your problem. Because diagnosis is done and you start treatment. When somebody comes and they are depressed themselves, they don't know what depression is all about. And then somebody advises, like in your case, you're just advised to go and see a psychiatrist. Of all the people, Dave, in the hospital, as doctors and whatever specialists, that would be the last person I'd want to think of. Because I must have probably just taken glasses and broken them. Then I'll come to think, oh, something is wrong.
Or you talking to yourself.
Yes, you're talking to yourself. Someone will tell you you're talking to yourself. What is wrong with you? Because to us, that is mental, problem. It is such a challenging thing, isn't it?
Maybe we are just getting into understanding what this is, because from all of us we
very
look
green on this one.
very blank about depression. Maybe Jennifer, about your friends and your family members around you, what was their take in all this?
What did they see about you?
I was lucky to have friends who would listen to me even before we all knew that I had depression. More often than not, I would find myself just talking. And one thing I can pinpoint that the psychiatrist made me understand is that my situation, though, it got different triggers, actually. I learned that depression has triggers that brings it forth. For me, I had to act parent from age 16 for my siblings. Our parents died when I was 10. And I had to play this adult role. So when the doc got to understand my history, and then my work environment at the time was also toxic, so all this piled up into a huge trigger. Now, depression is a very lonely place. And when one gets depressed, you always just want to be alone. So when it comes to family members, it's not easy to open up to them. And for me, being breadwinner and all these people are younger than me, half the time I wouldn't, of course I wouldn't tell them. They look up to me. And then I can't share with friends because I'd always feel like, everyone has their own issues. So let me not bog people down with my issues. But then there's this batch of friends who would just listen before I even understood my diagnosis. Like I would call a friend, Saya, and he'd just listen and pray with me over the phone. Then call client. There was a time I was having a breakdown, an episode, and that time in 2014, I evicted everyone from my house. My son, I sent him to go stay with the dad. My brothers, my cousins, like everyone just move out. I always had people in the house, so everyone just moved out.
Wanted to be alone.
I just wanted to be alone.
Yeah, what I'm learning from what you're saying is, it is not something that you just wake up and it starts.
No.
It is something that it's slowly, it's slowly. And many times we misuse this word because you wake up late and maybe you're running late and you're like, I'm depressed. I say that all the times. I say that. I tell you what's wrong. I'm just depressed. I'm just depressed. But definitely we have been using it the wrong way. I think that's just an exaggerated way of trying to tell somebody, you know what, I'm frustrated. And many times, just like you mentioned something very powerful, many times, especially people who have this temperament of if you're a sanguine, we hide. I am a sanguine. We hide so much pain.
Makes the two of us.
Yes, we hide so much pain. You know, you want everybody to see that you're happy, but there's so much anger and pain in you that you do not want to share. So I think if we don't talk about it, it will catch up.
About it.
Yeah, I just went to visit a friend of mine who lost her daughter just the other day. She has just lost her daughter, and here she is just laughing and talking to everybody. I mean, it's not wrong to do that, but she's still hiding it, you know? So I think this is something that if we learn to talk or express ourselves, then we will be grateful later.
Yeah, let's just talk about the little things that count in our lives.
Yes.
When I just call you Richard and I say, Richard, how are you? I've not seen you for a long time. Where are you? Did you have such experiences?
Yes. I have these like 4 friends who from time to time someone would just call, and even though I wouldn't outrightly say, hey, I'm having an episode, I think they would understand. I don't voice. The fact that we just speak. But then again, a depressed person can't just speak easily.
Right,
true. There's that fear of being judged. I've encountered person here and there who would be like, what's the issue? And I'm like, I'm having an episode. And they're like, no, you have a car, you have a home.
Yes.
What's your problem?
What's your problem?
Yes. Your life looks okay, you have a good job. And the moment someone tells me that,
it shuts you.
And I won't speak for another, for a long time.
And you can't speak.
So just being checked on really, really meant a lot. And if you suspect maybe a friend is depressed,
or even yourself,
yes, you have to work on staying away from
you cannot know when you're depressed.
No, I think just it's true you cannot know, but you know yourself. You know, there's some things, you have a lot of things that you might be going through. Well, I don't know.
When you come to the place where, as you say, you know yourself, and you have things that happen and you see them and they affect you, I think it takes us back to what you say. There are some triggers. There are certain things that happen and then it triggers the feeling. Now, in your case, you said where you were working was quite toxic.
Yes.
Were there specific things that were done and which would trigger it, or just the fact that you were in the office where you were working? What could be these things?
There is, for my case, it was a colleague who would really make life difficult.
Okay. Yes.
And then, you know, you hang in there, you need the job. But finally I changed jobs. And of course, as years went by, again, the work environment started being toxic, and it was a trigger for me. So I walked away. And of course, one who is depressed makes some drastic measures, things. They do drastic things that
sometimes can be
normal person wouldn't understand. Like, why would you walk away from a good job? Why would you move towns? Why would you do this? You just find yourself, I want to do something different.
Okay, Jennifer, we are going to take a short break, but when we're coming back, I want to read a quote here, and this is going to be the basis of our discussion. She is a beautiful piece of broken pottery, put back together by her own hands, and a critical world judges her cracks while missing the beauty of how she made herself whole again. We are taking a short break. Stay tuned. Family Times is back, and we are talking about mental illness. If you like, you can call it depression. At times when someone is seriously in need of help, people would commonly say, let her sort herself.
Because even as we have our own issues.
The Swahili people say, msiba wa kujitakia. You are the one who made yourself to be in that position. Now, Jennifer, you talked about people, you sharing your story with others, and then they tend to judge you maybe from your past. Did you just tell us more about that?
It's hard to find someone to talk to when you're depressed. And unfortunately, when an episode comes, for me, it has been gaps. It's been 10 years. And since 2009, that was the first diagnosis. I didn't know about triggers and all until 2014. Now, 2014 was so severe that it had suicidal tendencies with it. And I would find myself contemplating methods to go with, like hanging and cutting your wrist. And more often than not, when I'm driving from work, there was this wall. I would make a turn heading to my house, and the voices would be so much and telling me to ram the car and it will be over, because all I wanted was shh, just quiet. And by then now already people are out of my house and I'm alone. So which is also risky, because that's when you get a chance to try out anything. And so I would put loud music to try and drown all these sounds. And that very, very low moment which you can't even run away from, you just pray that it passes. I had to be given antipsychotic drugs and some other pills to go with it. But then after that, then again another episode in 2015, 2016, and also just the other day. But there's nothing I can do to really, really stop it. But I understand when it's coming now.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Now I can feel it.
Yes.
So I'm able to either find a way to distract myself or talk to someone.
Yes.
Or just wait for that storm to pass. Because it usually feels like a storm building up and it's overhead and it rains and then it goes.
So you're saying that the first diagnosis was in 2009.
Yes.
Then there was an episode in 2014.
Yes, that was
and
extreme.
you have just said that sometimes the storm comes and you know how to
Go about it.
distract yourself from this. I thought that a diagnosis is just like let's say diagnosis malaria. You know that you take drugs for about 3 or 4 days or even a day, depending on the dose regimen that you're on, and then it goes off.
Yeah.
So this is something that is, this is 2019, 10 years down the line. It is still on, but now you know how to handle it.
Control it.
Yes, what I do is, what I know is I never wanted to be dependent on drugs. So 2014 was the last time I took drugs. Doesn't mean now that I've had episodes afterwards. What I do is now I talk to someone.
Yes.
My only fear is there are those people who won't talk.
Who will judge?
They will not talk because it's a lonely place. You want to be alone. I'll be there. I will cry and handle all the noises and think about dead parents and just wanting someone to be here, but I can't reach out. Okay. So, and at times when I want to talk to someone, I'll be like, no, I want to call Dave. Maybe he has his own issues. He has his own issues.
Start eliminating people.
So either I'll just let it pass. There's that moment that you just have to deal with it.
I just wanted to find out about the sons, because she talked about her sons. Now, your sons, tell us more about your sons. Do they know that mommy has depression, or
no,
how do they handle it? How old are they?
Eldest is 9.
9?
Yeah, he's 9. And
so he has no idea?
Youngest is 3.
He has no idea that mommy...
No.
Okay.
The only thing was, during my second son's pregnancy, there was an episode. So I never went for clinic for 7 months.
Wow.
I never felt attached to this baby. It's growing in my tummy, but I don't feel it. I never even went to shop for my baby. Somehow, interestingly, Linda was there those years, and she didn't know it at the time. But she went and shopped for the baby. I wasn't just feeling attached. I was like, okay, go buy for me clothes. You go to Kibuye. She didn't know that having acted like that, she helped me go through a phase. So when I went to the clinic for the first time and that nurse asked me, it's been 7 months, how comes you've not started your clinic? I started crying. I couldn't talk. So she directed me to a counselor.
At this time, you already knew you had depression.
Yes.
Yeah, she already knew.
But I didn't recognize that I was having an episode.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I just felt not attached. Maybe it's moods that come with pregnancy.
Yeah,
maybe.
pregnancy,
You know, I was looking for some rational explanation as to my actions, but I couldn't find. So when I finally spoke to a counselor at Aga Khan, Kisumu, and she just walked with me. She's being a professional, and we talked, just talked. And she knows how to interrogate, you know. And after that, I felt lighter. The weight was off. And yeah, somehow I started feeling attached to the unborn child.
No. What always happens, I say that there are some things when you do in life, when you do to someone, you never know how you touch someone in life.
It's true.
So it's very nice for you to be positive to anyone who comes across your way. Yeah.
That is what I wanted us to briefly talk about, because, you know, even as we talk about this depression and we bringing in family members, remember, even friends are family members. And whatever we say to someone, and this has to come out clear. Sometimes there's a couple that was recently wedded, and we keep on teasing them, asking them, we look at their tummy, we ask them, why are you not getting pregnant?
So insensitive.
We become so insensitive in so many things. Let us just talk about that so that we can take this off, so that people who constantly tease and talk, they tease without knowing.
Oh, some do without, some do knowing.
Some know, but you know, it is important for us to understand.
And Dave, there is this point that Jennifer talked about. There was a time you sent everybody away from your house. And so that makes me think, how were your siblings, you know, taking this? How before you probably told them what was happening, were they supportive enough? Were they probably would just sit down and look at you, not understanding because you don't understand yourself. What is the support line that you got from them? They were younger than you, I hope. I thought,
my eldest brother and youngest brother.
Okay, even with that.
They didn't know.
They didn't know.
I wasn't making it obvious.
Yes.
I would just lock myself in the bedroom, cry, just have some alone time. And when I get outside, I was always like this breadwinner. And they were looking up to me.
Very
so
strong.
for me to come out and look weak wasn't easy. So I wouldn't share. Even my younger cousins were there, I wouldn't share with them. So I just kept it all in. But now it's my close friends who actually picked it.
Most supportive. Most supportive in this moment.
And that tells you, Dave, that truly we are living in a world where everybody is two-faced, you know? We want to live a lie, right? Because the truth is you having this, you're not happy. You're having all these things going on and you're not even, you know, as much as you want to share, you're scared. You're scared of sharing. You don't even know how people
will take it.
Exactly. And we have been bad people. We have been bad friends because we are so quick to judge, you know? So I think we should also change. We should also change.
I think that it is it's a both-way thing.
Yeah.
Because for the case of Jennifer, it's the friends who again supported her.
Who did?
And there are those you'd call friends. Sometimes, Dave, it's difficult for us to identify who real friends are. Who the true friends are. Because
who's going to sort me out in this?
Somebody who is hesitant to tell you something that might pain you may not necessarily be a very good friend. The truth is the best thing. Yes, Dave, you are behaving funny. Something is not right with you.
You need help.
Can we face this one? Let's talk. You know, you may be angry with me, you may want to, you know, pull tantrums and anything, but the fact is you are not what you are. So something is not right. But then there are those who look at you and because they like you and they don't want to hurt you, they look at you, see you behave funny or do things which are unusual, and they just look at you.
They talk behind your back.
They just come and say, Richard, you know, I saw Dave behave funny today. This guy went to the bathroom and when he came out, he was just in his shirt, 3 buttons away from the top and down. It's funny. But nothing, it's not helping you.
I think there's need to maybe create awareness.
And I know also what I realized, the other day I was sharing with a former colleague about depression. And I didn't know, but 6 years ago she lost her sister who had depression. Now for her as a family member, she's been crucifying herself and killing herself internally that there's something she should have done, you know. And so I know it affects family members as well, that when their family member is depressed. And this lady, she did drastic stuff, like the sister took their youngest child to their grandmother and she was staying alone, and everyone around is asking her, why don't you stay with your baby? Every mother is supposed to stay with their baby, you know. And afterwards, the lady arranged everything in the house and disappeared. She resurfaced 3 months later. Actually, her body was picked by the river. And so this sister, the living one, she was crying when I was talking to her. And she's like, she's been eating herself up. Maybe she could have assisted. And so I had to comfort her and tell her, depressed person doesn't easily share. More often than not, they also don't know. So she shouldn't, you know, kill herself and feel so bad because of what happened 6 years ago. She should just let it go.
Okay.
You know?
Now, let us shift gears a little bit. How do you feel right now?
I feel okay. Yeah, I feel okay. My latest episode was 2 months ago. This one came with a panic attack. Couldn't breathe, I'm alone and stuff. So at the moment I feel okay. Yeah, and I try stay clear from triggers, be it getting overwhelmed. When I know I'm too tired, I will take a rest. If I'm in a toxic area or environment, I try to pull away. Of course, I know when it comes, it comes. But I thank God that I've been strong enough not to act on any suicidal thoughts. So, and some have not been so lucky. Yeah. So at the moment, I'm feeling fine.
So the other bit is that you have talked about thanking God for bringing you this far. I wanted to ask, what motivates you? Tell us briefly about this God that you're talking about. 2009 is way back.
True.
Quite a long time.
Tell us about the motivation.
Talk to God every day.
Wow.
Okay?
Amen.
Morning, breakfast, lunch, and supper. You know, just talking to Him. I actually just talk. I don't know. It's not prayer like kneeling down and
one-on-one,
but I just talk. You know, for me, with no parents around, sometimes there are things I wish I could just tell a parent, and I can't talk to someone, a friend's parent, so I talk to God. And He makes things happen in a way that
we cannot see.
I can't explain, I can't understand. And, you know, you make a step and you tell Him, be here for me, and
He's
at the end of the day, He's there.
Right. Yeah, that's
You say God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He acts in ways
you cannot see.
You cannot see. Linda, I see you have the Word of God.
Yeah, I wanted to read some verse in the book of Psalms. Psalms chapter 145. I'll do verse 18 and 19. I'll read. The Lord is nigh unto all them that call upon Him, to all that call upon Him in truth. He will fulfill the desires of them that fear Him. He also will hear their cry and will save them. So always God is somewhere listening to you when you call upon Him, but He's the best friend who will not share with others. Ata peleka peleka. He will always be there to listen to you, to comfort you, and He will give you someone. If He's not there in person, He will keep someone standby just for you. Yes.
Yes. Dave, even as we talk with Jennifer about a situation, I recognize that God is powerful, and that God gives people a second chance, even when there are difficulties. My worry though goes out in the sense that as families, we really need to come to that place where we can understand our people very well. Some of us may be going through a lot of issues, and we are next to our spouses, our children, you know, our greater families, and we may never know what's going on because our minds are in that place where we think mental illness is basically walking naked or running in the streets and all that. And therefore, I pray and I ask God that we can be given more wisdom, basically to understand, because we may probably not be able to help where we should be helping, because we don't understand. And families out there, I want to urge and ask that we be more open-minded, we be more careful with our people, especially the loved ones, so that we may be able to discern when there is things which, or there are things which are not very, very normal, you know. The telltale, the signs, we should be able to pick them in good time. More than anything, we leave it to God.
Jennifer, what would be your last words to our viewer out there? What would be your encouragement to them?
What I can say is, if you suspect that you could be having depression, you feel funny, you're losing appetite, moody, talk to someone. And even if it's not family or friends, just walk into, most of hospitals have counselors, and it's free, so just request to speak to a counselor. They are equipped to help you, walk with you through the conversation, and you're able to identify, and you feel lighter actually after that. So, and then avoid triggers. If you feel this is a toxic relationship, this is a toxic environment, this is a toxic person, steer clear. But most importantly, reach out to someone, preferably a professional, a counselor, just talk to someone. Yeah, but then there is hope. It passes. When an episode comes, just hang in there. It passes. Within 30 minutes or an hour, it will just go.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the explosion of it.
Right.
It builds up, of course, maybe during the week, but then it reaches a point you can't run away from it. It will pass. Just let it pass at that time. And then just talk to God at that particular time, because it's just you and Him. It's a lonely place. We could be here and depressed person is very lonely, even in a crowd. So just talk to God at that time. Yeah.
Last words.
What I can say to our viewer outside there, we need to ask God to give us the wisdom so that we can be able to talk, weighing what we are about to say, because words can hurt or build. So that we encourage either a sister or a brother. And again, God always has a purpose for you. He has put someone in place just for you. Thank God, and also you bless someone else.
Thank you. Tabby, 10 seconds, last words.
This is really interesting because I have realized that I am not doing anything to help. So I thank you, Jennifer, for even coming to share, because we have been so insensitive to people. You throw in words and you think you're so cool. No, you're not. Yeah. Next time you do that and you kill somebody, it would be so wrong. So we just ask God for wisdom so that at least whenever we are talking, or if you realize that a friend is going through something, let us step in and do something, because it will make a difference. Yes, even just assuring them.
Wow, that we have come to the end of this powerful testimony by our sister Jennifer Doyo. And the last words goes to friends. Make that phone call. Give that word of encouragement. You never know what that would mean to someone. God bless you and see you next time.